Hello, my name is Arun. I'm a leadership and a life coach, and I'm based out of Faridabad. And I talk and share a lot of information with respect to how to make your life successful, how to make your life easy. And in this series today, I'm going to talk about stress, a very important topic to my mind because right now in the coronavirus period, we are all quarantined in our home. We are all going through a lot of change around us, and that is right now causing a lot of stress. And this stress is primarily because of the current situation that we are seeing globally. What How many lives have been lost? We are also looking at the hospitalization and the challenges that are likely to be faced in India. We are also heading towards a very high global recession where trillions of dollars are getting lost, and we may see that there are job loss is no far away from all of us. So today I brought this topic of stress because I think sooner or later, or maybe currently, you must be undergoing a lot of stress. And this topic would be of great importance because I would be covering a lot of areas into that, why stress is coming to us, and how coronavirus has actually entered into our life, and many more such infectious diseases that might come in the near future. And likewise, what happens when we are under stress? What are the signs and symptoms of stress? And then we also get into that how to overcome this stress. And that's what, as a coach, I do in my sessions, because I very strongly believe that our life is full of dependency, and we look forward for people in our life who can help us to move out from the emotional stress or the emotional mess that we always get into in various situations. So for that, I'm available. But at this point of time, I'm going to share some important information, some important insights that might be of some use to you, that you can practice at your home, and that will help you to come out of stress. So let's go straight away into our core topic. So as we know that WHO has recommended, or WHO has announced, that coronavirus is a pandemic. Pandemic means it is impacting the entire world. And so is stress is equally a pandemic, and that is also declared by WHO. So whenever there is something which is coming and taking our lives straight away, or something that causes those situations where our living standards goes down, where our way of doing things goes down, that also creates as a epidemic. And this is what WHO recommends. So more so, this is important that we should understand the situation, that stress that brings it. But before we go into that, how we get into stress, because it is not just because of coronavirus and the current situation that we are getting into stress, but I'm sure in our current day-to-day life as we live, we undergo a lot of stress. And many a times we don't realize that we are undergoing stress. So uh, let's go back. Let's go back to a time when everything was normal and easy. And I'm sure the moment you will look into this picture, this might remind you, if you are a 70s or a 60s born, this picture will remind you of those times when life was easy, life was simple. People were sitting together, families were together, there was more bonding, there was more love, there was more care, and there was a lot of attention that we used to give. Though our resources were less, but we were all happy. We all had less money, but we had a lot of time for each other. And because of this, I'm sure you will agree that there were people, lot less people who were unhappy, and more people you would find that they were happy and satisfied. And if I talk about computer, or if I talk about mobile phones, I think that was all in fiction. If I remember, in my generation, I come from that generation, that the technology was only the Star Trek series that used to come, where we used to see that how humans talk on phone, and things, and we used to take it as fiction. But then what happened? That was the time. At that time, times have changed, because human evolution happens and change comes into all our life. And friends, in last 20 years, the amount of change that has happened all around us is humongous. It is beyond our imaginations. In fact, research papers suggest that the amount of change that we are going to see in the next 4 to 5 years is going to be what our grandparents would not have seen in their lifetime. This is the amount of change that is going to take place. So the question is, are we ready to adopt this change? Are we ready to accept this change that is happening around us? So let's first understand that what this change is bringing to all of us, how this change has impacted our life in last 20 years, and it's now rapidly happening so fast. So I think all of us will agree that internet is something which has changed our life. The moment internet came into our life, our connectivity became superb. We are connected and the world became flat. And now a person in US, Europe, Asia, or Africa, they're all connected and they all have the same set of information available to all of them. The second that change that brought is instant telecommunication. I think this one place, this mobile phone that we hold in our hands, is something which has the power to give you everything in your hand. It gives you everything today on the click of a button, whether it is food, whether it is information, whether it is money, whether it is anything that you want from this phone, you can get. That's the speed of change that we have seen. And because of internet, because of instant telecommunication, globalization has happened, which we all know that, that everything is happening. People are connected, countries are making products in other countries, and everybody is having access to same information, knowledge, and products and services as you get it in developed countries or underdeveloped or developing countries. There is a huge change, that is a social change. Because of this, we all have seen layoffs, and the amount and the speed of layoffs that are happening now. And I'm telling you what we are going to see, what is going to happen post coronavirus situation. Extreme level of layoffs are likely to happen, extreme level. And because as human being, the evolution of human beings has grown so drastically, so fast in the last 15, 20, 30 years, that what we have seen is also rise in infectious diseases. In fact, I come from the pharma industry, and I know that most of the doctors are feeling handicapped, that they don't have a solution to the infection rate and the kind of situations that are happening with bacteria. They don't have an answer with an antibiotics. They have gone to the last resorts like cholesterol to treat patients in ICU. And now we are all facing corona, another respiratory distress syndrome, where we are yet to develop a medicine. And I'm in touch with people who are talking about that even to get this vaccine or a medication, it may take 12 to 18 months, because the safety standards, the safety checks, trials have to be done before it really applies on humans. So imagine the kind of change that we are undergoing is humongous. And genetic engineering, I think this is something which is changing our way of even eating the food and the fruit and the vegetables in our lives, how things have changed. I'm sure all of us know the growth, the amount of quantity of these vegetables have grown tremendously because of genetic engineering. So change is happening all across, and nanotechnologies are coming into our life. Everything is becoming smaller. The chips are becoming smaller. The vehicles are becoming lighter. Your mobiles are becoming more smarter. It is all that change which is bringing. My question to you, are you ready for this change? Is your mind, is your body is really ready to cope up with this change? If the answer is yes, great. But let me tell you, a lot of us do not have an answer to it. And it is not that you are alone. There are millions of people who are trying to cope up with this change. And as I said, the speed of the change is 10x time. It's 10 times than our current capacity. I'm sure all of you will agree that any technology, any one new app comes, you see that the other company or the other startup comes and they get you a new app. And it is very difficult to cope up with the newer things that are coming into our life. And that is one of the reasons that we all undergoing stress, which is unseen. We all go through it. And that brings a lot of fear of future, fear of competing, fear of becoming more vulnerable to these things. And what it brings a worrisome attitude in our minds, in our sleeps. We feel worrisome. And what that leads to, it leads to anxiety. And no wonders that we have diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular diseases like hypertension, and many more, Alzheimer disease, neuro disease. They are all bringing to us, and people don't realize that they are undergoing tremendous amount of stress at this point of time. And the core reason is the change and the speed of change that we are seeing. So let's take a deep dive further. Why stress happens? That's the answer. I mean, that's the answer we need to find out. And particularly in these times, when you ask people that, are you undergoing stress? And they very boldly say that, no, I'm absolutely fine. But when you dig deeper, they realize that yes, they are undergoing stress. And I will share with you some facts that first, that why stress happens. First thing, as I said, why stress is happening? Because of change. The change that is happening all around us, which I just spoke about it. And what this change brings, it brings uncertainty. But before I say what brings uncertainty, when we want to adapt a change, what happens? We have to move from our comfort zone to an uncomfortable zone, and we are not comfortable to it. And that is one of the reasons that as human beings, we look for comforts. We look for those things which gives us comfort. Anything that I'm doing or you are doing on a day-to-day basis is to bring comfort to us. And when that doesn't happen, it brings stress to us. Because currently, if you look at coronavirus is asking you to work from home. It's asking you not to move out of your home. What does it mean? It brings that change. And second thing, if we take this context of coronavirus issue, it brings uncertainty. You listen to people, aage kya hoga? What is going to happen in future? Whether my job will be secure, whether my life will be secure, whether I'll be hospitalized. It is bringing a lot of uncertainty in our mind. And what is it bringing? It is bringing fear. It's really bringing a lot of fear in people. And that is one of the reasons that people don't want to move out of their house. People are being told that if you come out of your house, this is going to be a great issue to others' life and your life as well. And then there is a loss of life that we are seeing across the globe. 5,000, 6,000, more than 20,000 deaths have already happened. And this is all because of fear. And what that happens, if this change is happening in us, what it brings, it actually blocks our mind. When I say blocks our mind in terms of the real way to think, I'm sure every day when you watch news, every hour, every second update that comes on your WhatsApp, you are actually moving into that fear and uncertainty in your mind that next morning, will that happen to me or not? And that's where your mind is getting blocked. And ultimately, you are becoming a victim of stress. That's the key issue. And that's what I'm addressing today, that what you need to do, we'll talk about it. Now, some of the examples that I want to share, that what are the signs of stress? Number one, inability to solve problem. So I'm sharing some of the very core areas where a lot of people, as I said, they don't admit that they have stress. But eventually, when you ask them these questions, or when you start taking a deep dive in your mind's eye, if you close your eyes and think about your life, you will get these situations where you will find that you are undergoing a lot of stress. So one is inability to solve problems. Number two, loss of emotional balance. All of a sudden you start bursting out, you shout, you yell, you become frustrated on small things. It's again a sign of loss of emotional balance. That is what, in other words, called stress. Another very important thing is absence of inner peace. When you are not happy inside, when you are always having issues, there are unresolved issues in your mind, whether with respect to thoughts, whether it's respect to your beliefs, whether it's respect to your attitudes, it disturbs your inner peace. And when your inner peace is disturbed, you cannot remain in focus. You cannot be in the best of your abilities. And that's where you tend to make mistakes and you tend to come under a lot of stress and you have no idea where to go. So in simple words, this thought describes what stress is. In other words, stress is who you think you should be, whereas peace is who you are. So the more you are connected to yourself, the more you are cling to your inner resources, your faith, your confidence, your compassion, which is deep inside us, we become close to center of our strength. And the more you are connected to yourself, deep inside in your mind, heart, and gut, you are in more control of your life. But what happens when you are in stress? You are not able to do it. You even don't know that you already have this capacity inside you, but you search solutions and find out, you try to go to other places and other people to find answers. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that how to overcome stress. So to me, stress is all about perception. Perception means that how you take things in your mind, is it defines that perception. So to me, perceptions are also of two kinds. One is external and one is internal. So when it comes to external perception about stress, is what we see is loss of job, loss of money, loss of a dear one, or loss of life. This is something that brings an external fear in my mind that creates stress. And the kind of perceptions that I create from the outside world create stress in my mind. The second part is internal. Now, this is something more deeper, because when you start thinking from an internal perspective, your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual abilities start going down. And when they start going down, you become weak. And one of the very big reason of having an internal stress is ego. Because if you have any unresolved issue, if you have any unresolved problems in your mind which is still lying, it is primarily because of ego, because ego is there to protect you. So let's talk about it. When you face any stress, it's up to you whether you react or you respond. So when you react, it is only and only because of your ego. And when you respond, it is only and only because of you, from your soul. When your spirit, when you are connected, when you are in the center of things, when you are in control of things. When you are not in control of things, you react. And you react because of your ego. So let's understand then what to do then. So this is the solution that I'm going to give you, and I'm sure you will like some of those points and some of the areas that I give people one-on-one sessions where they get to understand this in a deeper sense. So what are the things that you can do? One is avoid distractions. So one of the way to avoid distraction is don't keep watching news every hour and every then into your internet or on your television, because they bring a lot of distractions and news in your mind that can keep your mind full of stress. And particularly, don't sleep, don't watch any news channel or any disturbing, even a series before sleeping, because that leaves a lot of impression of the stress. It just adds to your stress at that point of time. Number two, be happy and be present. When people are full of stress, you would realize that when you speak to them and listen to them closely, they are either talking about past, that what has happened to them, why it has happened to them, how it has happened to their friends, or they talk about future, they talk about uncertainties, that why they are not able to achieve things in their life, what will happen tomorrow, what will happen next, whether they will be surviving tomorrow or not, but they don't remain in present. That's what we see in our kids. And that's why if you see, the kids are always happy, even if they are sad, worried, next moment you see them, they are happy and they are cheerful. But as adults, we don't do that. And that's why we remain in stress. Number three, how yuktai. Yuktai is a Sanskrit word, which means that how your mind, body, and soul are clinged to each other. They are with you at your best. And this happens particularly when you are into meditation. When you are in meditation, you are able to control your mind, body, and soul together. I'm sure all of us know that this exercise is so very important to all of us. Next is your thoughts. So I'm sure you will agree that we are all sum total of our thoughts. The way we think, we behave. So I'll give you an example. So whatever I'm talking is whatever I'm feeling, and whatever I'm feeling is whatever I'm thinking. So we can look at it from a different perspective. So whatever I'm thinking is whatever I'm feeling, and whatever I'm feeling is I'm talking. So whatever you think inside is what you do outside. So inside is always bigger and powerful than what you do outside, because the outcome of your external world is what you think inside. So pay attention to your thoughts, what kind of thoughts you're feeding your mind, because your mind do not differentiate between positive or negative thoughts. It just takes it depending on what you want to give. And last but not the least, keep rewarding yourself, because many a times people get into stress when they see that others are not recognizing them. It may be your parents, it may be your brother, sister. So there would be different situations, and people come under stress that why I did not get that attention that I was due for, in spite of doing a great job. And friends, this is what I say, reward yourself. Keep yourself happy. Buy a chocolate, buy a shirt, buy a pen, buy a book for you. I think that will be a great service that you will do it for yourself. And well, last but not the least, if you find these stuffs are useful to you, subscribe my channel Coaching with AD. Or if you have a problem, if you want to get connected to me, you want to take a session, I'll give you a free session. Take a session from me and experience what I'm saying if you really want to come out of the stress in these testing time. I'm sure this last 10, 12, 15 minutes, whatever I've spoken, would have given you deep insights about how to overcome your stress in these testing time. And friends, it's very, very necessary to stay positive, stay calm, stay at home. Don't go, because that is something that will give you that kind of strength that you want. You have to prepare yourself for the next coming days, coming months, because it is you that your parents, your kids, your near and dear ones are watching you. How you behave, how you remain in focus, how you remain calm is the most important thing for you and for your family. Thank you so much, and stay connected. I'll come back with more insights, more ways of dealing your life in a more successful way. Thanks for watching.